And Carta Elise here. If you're not on mute, if you could go ahead and mute yourself just for now. We'll have an opportunity for questions throughout and also at the end. But if you could just go ahead and mute yourself for now before we get started, that would be great. I'm going to give us another minute or two, let some more folks arrive. Okay, hi everybody. I think it is time to go ahead and get started. So Carta Elise here. Greetings from Boulder, Colorado. It's a beautiful spring day. I hope that the same is the case for you and wherever you are calling in from. I am your program manager, project manager, sustainability implementation wrangler here at the Pet Sustainability Coalition. We're joined today by Laetitia Yafai, and we'll say a little bit more about our special guest and what we're diving into in just a moment. If you take a look at your dashboard, I'm going to open up a poll really quick. Just thought it would be fun to hear where folks are calling in from today. You know, we are a community of folks who measure what matter through the Pet Sustainability Coalition. We'll give you another few seconds to chime in. This is checking to see if you're actually with us. It looks like we've got some percentages coming in. All right, I'm going to close the poll and let's take a look at the results. So it looks like, can you all see those results? Let me know in chat. They're not showing up on my screen, but looks like we've got some folks from the mountain region. Wow, I'm surprised no one from the East Coast. That doesn't seem quite right. I know that we've got a lot of companies from the East Coast as well, but fun way to see who is calling in from where. So let's go ahead and dive in just to give you all a little bit of context. So we're going to be diving in today to our quick impact assessment. And that quick impact assessment is really an important part of our accelerator program, which you can see here. And Laetitia is going to basically introduce us or remind us to why we measure what matters and how we do it through that platform. And there's a lot of really cool functionality in the platform. So whether you've taken the impact assessment before, or this will be your first time, there's some really good stuff to learn today. And just to give you context, that this is a part of our larger accelerator process. I also want to emphasize that if you are planning to participate in our Green Paw program at Super Zoo this year, we really want to make sure that you update your quick impact assessment by July, before Super Zoo of this year. It's really important to us at the Pet Sustainability Coalition that folks are really participating as a member, so measuring what matters, identifying areas, opportunities for improvement, and then through the Green Paw program and other programs that we have, we really want to share your success and we want to get your story out there. We want this to really be of value to your brand, and more millennials are looking for this topic for another day. So just another question real quick. Let's see, hide results. Let's take a look at how many folks here have done the quick impact assessment before, and how many folks are totally new to it. So go ahead and chime in, let us know. It looks like most folks have done it before. I'll give you a few more seconds. Is there anyone here who has never actually gone through the quick impact assessment before? Doesn't look like it. All right, I'm going to close the poll. Let's take a look at those results. And pretty much everyone here has actually gone through the quick impact assessment before. So good, this will be hopefully a really nice reminder, refresher about the process and how it works, as well as maybe some functions that you didn't realize were there. And I'm always a fan of remembering why we do what we do, why we measure what matters. Laetitia is also going to walk you through that. So I'm going to make Laetitia our presenter. I'm going to pass it over to her. And just by way of introduction, Laetitia is our Measure What Matters Program Associate. Let's see, I'm going to exit my screen here. Laetitia, are you able? There we go. Looking
yes, I'm here.
Great.
Can you see my presentation?
I can. Looks
Great.
Good. So, and Laetitia, as I was saying, is our Measure What Matters program associate. She is responsible for relationship management with folks like us at the Pet Sustainability Coalition, as well as other member companies that participate with B-Lab in measuring what matters. She takes care of tech support, training, community building, and she also had previously worked in finance with USB of Switzerland. So she comes to us with her experience and expertise. And Laetitia, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Carter-Elise. I'm really happy to be here today, so thanks for having me. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to just give you a little bit of context about is, so Measure What Matters is a part of the nonprofit called B-Lab, and our purpose is to serve a global movement of people using business as a force for good. So this is really the reason why we exist. And so our vision is that one day all companies will compete to be the best for the world and not just the best in the world. And that as a result, society will enjoy a more shared and durable prosperity. So the way we do this is in a few different ways. So we have a few different initiatives at B-Lab. So one of them is Measure What Matters. One of them is the Certified B Corporation movement. And so the way B-Lab started is that initially we were just certifying B corporations, and we'll talk a little bit more about what B corporations are. But what we wanted to do is to build a movement of leaders who are using their business as a force for good to have examples to share with other business leaders and just to create a path for others to follow their lead. And so for Measure What Matters, we have a slightly different path. So we wanted to, so after starting to create this movement of leaders using their business as a force for good, we realized that we also wanted to engage just every business, including those that might not identify as social enterprises or as explicitly using their business as a force for good. And so Measure What Matters is really that. It's making our tools available to anyone who wants to assess their impact, compare or understand their impact, and eventually work on improving that impact. One of the possible paths that you can take once you do all of that is to become a certified B Corporation. And so the very first step in this process is to take the quick impact assessment, which is a part of what you do with your membership at the Pet Sustainability Coalition. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our assessment now. I think it sounds like everyone has taken the assessment before, so this might be more of a refresher or reminder. So some of the key features of our assessment is that it's positive and comprehensive. What that means is that we focus on proactive impact management, and we focus on positive impact. So this is not a tool for risk mitigation or for negative screening. It's really about what you're doing well. And so it means that, if you respond to any questions by saying that you are doing something on this specific area, you're already doing something better than most businesses. So don't be worried when you go through the assessment if you say, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. If there's even just one thing that you're doing, it means that you're already going beyond what most businesses do. The second feature is that our assessment is standardized, and yet it is adaptive. What that means in practice is that companies can be compared to each other when they go through the assessment. And what that means for you is that you can compare how your business is performing compared to your peers. But it's also adaptive. So we have about 78 different versions of the assessment that get adjusted depending on the sector you operate in, the size of your company as measured by your number of employees, and your geographic location. The third feature is that the assessment is objective and dynamic. So our questions are verifiable, so we try to make it as concrete as possible. The questions are also driven by stakeholders, so everyone can give feedback on our questions, including you. When you're in the platform, you have the option to give feedback directly in the tools. And then the standards that are used for our questions are independently governed. So they're governed by an external group, an external committee. And that committee reviews our standards every 2 to 3 years, and so our standards also evolve over time. So for those of you who've taken the assessment more than once, you might have noticed sometimes the questions change from one year to the next. And so we adjust to changes in the industry and the feedback that we receive. And then the last thing is that the assessment is supposed to be aspirational and educational. We don't expect you to get all of this right away. It's intentionally built to be challenging and to reflect best practices across the business world. And recognizing this, we also included a lot of tools directly into the platform to provide resources for improvement or examples of best practices and how you could implement those things in your business. And I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later. So next we have all of the stakeholder groups that we look at in the assessment. So one of the important things is that we consider all stakeholders of the company and all aspects of the company. So here are all of our impact areas. So I'm just going to go over each of them really quickly to give you an example of what we measure. When we're looking at the environment, we're looking at things like your energy use or whether or not you recycle. The community stakeholder, we're looking at things like job creation, the diversity of your workforce, whether you're working with local suppliers, for example. The next impact area is governance. So this is the one where I like to say that the stakeholder here is the company itself. So this is really about how your company is structured, and we're looking at things like, do you have a board of director? How many members of your board of director are independent? We look at transparency and your reporting practices. When we're talking about workers as stakeholders, we look at things like compensation and benefits, what kind of training you provide to your employees. And then the last one is your customers. And so this is best summarized by just using a question, and it would be, does your product solve a specific problem for your customers? And a lot of products don't do that particularly. And so this is an impact area that you'll find only in the full version of the assessment, which is actually a great segue into explaining the difference between the quick impact assessment and the full B impact assessment. So as part of your membership, you will be taking the quick impact assessment. So it's really just a warm-up lap to the full assessment. The questions in the quick impact assessment are also questions in the B impact assessment, but it's simply a shorter version to allow you to get familiar with the concepts in the assessment. And it will give you feedback on your relative performance. So you'll see where you're scoring above average compared to your peers and where you're performing below average compared to your peers. It's not going to give you a score. If you want a score, you will have to go on to complete the full B impact assessment. Now, let's get to the value proposition, why you should be doing this. So the first thing, what the tool really allows you to do is to measure your impact. And you can't manage what you don't measure. So this is really just your first step. And it allows you to see how you're performing against your peers. Taking the quick impact assessment will help you make the most out of your membership at the Pet Sustainability Coalition. It's a way to celebrate the things that you're doing well already, and it's also a way for you to identify areas for improvement. And I know that the team at the Pet Sustainability Coalition creates wonderful improvement plans, and so I would encourage you to take advantage of that and work with them. The next thing is about making your business more resilient. So some of the things that fall under that category are attracting and engaging or retaining your employees. So the financial benefit there is that employee turnover is very expensive, recruiting is expensive. When you lose employees, you also lose some knowledge. And so creating a better work environment for your employees can help you attract better workers and keep them engaged over time. The second example I have is to reduce your environmental footprint. That's one where you can save resources or transportation costs, for example. And lastly, you can serve your customers and your community better. It can allow you to serve new markets or have a good reputation in your community. And so I'm going to give you a few examples of some companies that we work with, and just a quick example of why they decided to measure what matters. And this is a really personal thing. It might look really different for each of you depending on your personal preferences, but also the specific needs of your business. So the first business I'm going to talk about is called Redshift Technologies. And the reason why they started measuring what matters is that they were recruiting 2 new employees, and they're a rather small company, so they had around 5 to 8 employees, and they were looking for 2 more people. And they're in the tech sector, and getting good employees, it's a very competitive market to find employees. And so when they were looking to hire people, they thought this was a good opportunity to review what they offer to their workers. And so they reviewed benefits, they started providing health insurance and provide matching on their employees' 401k. So this was really a business need that they identified, and it made a lot of sense for them to look at their specific impact on workers to really attract the best possible talent in a competitive market. The next one we have here is a bakery that we worked with. They create sweets of all sorts. And so what felt really relevant to them when they took the assessment is to look at their impact on the environment. It really felt like the thing that they had the most direct control over. And so they worked with their landlord and their facilities manager to reduce their water and their energy consumption. And so they made sure that all of their employees were trained on how to implement those practices. And as a result, they saved money on those important inputs to their manufacturing process. And the last one that I have here is also a tech company. And so they're slightly different. They provide different services than Redshift Technologies. And what's really great about them is that they're based, so they're providing services to other businesses. And what's really interesting about them is that they're located in an area where there just aren't a lot of businesses in general. It's not a very dynamic business community. And so what they decided to do, so they really cared about the community aspect. And so they started their business in this community to kind of address the gap in technology services that companies could find in an underserved community as theirs. And then they also decided that they wanted to do something for the young people around their business. And so they provide training and mentorship opportunities to students in their area. And they equip them with the skills that they need to go on to work in the tech sector. And again, there are very few businesses where they operate, and so providing those opportunities to students seem to really be a really major impact on their community. And of course, forgot to mention this, but there are also very specific and really great case studies on the Pet Sustainability Coalition's website that relate specifically to the pet industry. So I would encourage you to check that out as well. Now, so we talked about Measure What Matters a lot and kind of the journey that it represents. And I also want now to just tell you a little bit about what it means to be a certified B Corp. So they're really the leaders, as I said earlier, of this global movement of people that want to use their business as a force for good and for positive change. So they meet verified standards of their social and environmental performance, of transparency and accountability. So if you're interested in learning more, again, Carta Elise knows a lot about the certification and can definitely help you figure out if that is a good fit for you. And so the value proposition there, some of the value proposition also works for just measuring what matters, but some things are really specific to the B Corporation community. So what the certification helps you do is maintain your mission over time. It helps you really bake your mission into your business if that is something that you want to do, and preserve that mission over time. It allows you to differentiate from, companies that are pretending or greenwashing. Again, those standards that B Corps meet are verified. Benchmarking and improving your performance are both a benefit of becoming a B Corp, but also of measuring what matters. Attract and engage talent, we talked about this, and then you're part of a community. We have events every year to get B Corps together, B Corps work together. We have an online platform. Through that platform, you can also save money and access discounted services that are only available to B Corps. And then again, you can generate press. There's a lot that is going on around B Corps, and so this is an opportunity for you to just be part of that movement. And then raise capital. If you're looking to get funding or raise capital through impact investors, for example, the fact that you're a B Corp can be really helpful. Now I'm going to show you the platform really quickly. So some of you might have seen this new platform. Some of you might still be on our old version of the platform. But when you create your account, you're going to see a few questions, again, that are going to determine which questions you're going to see. So when you select your country, depending on whether you're in an emerging market or a developed market, you're going to see different questions. Your sector will determine the questions that you see. So if you're a manufacturer, we're going to ask you a lot more questions about input into your manufacturing process than if you're a consulting firm. And then the size of your company, again, measured by your number of employees, is going to determine some of the questions that you're going to see around your workers. And so now I'm just going to exit this presentation, and I just have an account open on the platform, and I just wanted to show you what a question looks like and how we've embedded really the educational component of the platform in there. So each question that you see has a definition to explain the concepts in the question. You can see examples of how companies have implemented that practice, and you also have examples of like best practices. And so on each of the questions you have access to this. You can also leave feedback. So as I told you earlier, the standards are stakeholder driven, and so if you leave feedback here, we review it on a regular basis. And then each question can be marked for improvement or marked to revisit. So if there's a question that you know you want to improve on, you can simply star it, and then it will appear in a report at the end of the assessment. So I'm going to give you a quick view of what you see when you finish the quick impact assessment. So as I said, you will see, so this is what you see when you take the full impact assessment. So just to give you an overview of what that would look like if this is what you want to do. And if you want to just take the quick impact assessment, what it looks like is simply a count of where you're performing above average, at average, and below average. And again, what's really neat about the platform is that you can find those questions and you can modify them directly in each of those reports. So you don't have to go back to the assessment to change them. You can directly do it in this snapshot report. And the last one is the improvement report. So that's where you're going to find all of the questions that you marked for improvement, as well as some questions that the platform is going to suggest to you for improvement. So those are the questions where you're performing below average. So I think that's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this and part to Elise here, and this is also something that we at the PSC, walk through with you. We have access to this reporting as well. So we're also here to help interpret and help kind of narrow down to what impact projects make the most sense for you and where your company is at. So just to give you a little bit of context, but yeah, thank you, Laetitia.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
So at this point, I'm wondering if folks have any questions. We have just technically 2 minutes left, but I think Laetitia and I can stay on a little bit longer to answer any questions that folks have. So please feel free to unmute yourself. And we'd love to hear any questions you have at this point for me or Laetitia about the platform, about measuring what matters. Not so far, and I am going to change back to my screen and open up that presentation. I realized earlier that my screen was not sharing properly, so I apologize. Y'all did not get to see the slides. So once again, this is our accelerator. Just to give you that context, I was speaking about this earlier. The quick impact assessment is a really, really key part of the process of working with us at the Sustainability Coalition. I also want to just direct your attention to some things on the horizon looking out ahead. I'm not seeing any questions come in at this point. But I actually have a question for all of you, another poll. So before we get to that, first and foremost, oh, looks like a question did just come in. Oh gosh, looks like folks are not able to unmute. My apologies. I am fairly new to GoToMeeting, and there is so much functionality here. Let me see if I can unmute you all. Does that work? Can you all unmute yourself? Let's see if I can at least unmute the person who asked. Yeah, technical difficulties, folks. I don't know what more to do. If you want to put a question in through the chat box or through the questions, that would be great. Let's see. How about now? Can you folks unmute yourselves? Let's try again. Can you unmute yourselves now? Yeah, I don't know. I'm clicking on the button that says mute or unmute all, so I'm not sure. Technical difficulties, my apologies for that. But just to give you a heads up for what's ahead, and please just email me whatever questions that you have, and we can pass those along to Laetitia and be sure to get back to your questions. But what's ahead, we've got some more webinars coming up. The next one, May 24th, another Wednesday, midday, on the business of engaging employees with Nick Sterling, one of our partner consultants, and Sarah Stone, who's on the call today with WorldWise. They saw some really great results in engaging this process. And then coming June 28th, we'll look at bottom line savings and efficiency, specifically around energy, water, and waste. And this is where we really start to dive in more specifically to the performance areas in each of the quick impact assessment. So I also just have a question for you about future topics. You can see them listed here, and I'm just going to launch a poll really quick. You can click any of these. Let me know which maybe 1, 2, or 3 are of the most interest to you. Go ahead and chime in if you feel so inspired. Love to see your feedback on that. Nice, thanks everybody. Let's see. I am still baffled by the mute situation. I'm not sure what more I can do about that. I just tried to unmute everyone again, so let me know if you can unmute yourself. All right, I'll give you another few seconds to chime in on the poll if you haven't already. And then I go ahead and close, and let's take a look. This is what we're seeing from folks, so thank you so much for that feedback. Really, really helpful for us at the Sustainability Coalition and identifying how we can continue to serve you all. And again, you know, if you've got questions, please feel free. Oh, here we have one. Let's see. So one question that came in was, what are the costs around becoming a B Corp certified? And so Let's see. It depends on the size of your company, and it's usually in the few $1,000 range. But for that, you get a tremendous amount of support and access to data through the whole process with B-Lab. And I know Laetitia can probably speak to that more directly, but again, I apologize for the mute situation. Let's see if there's another question that's come through. So another question that's come through is, a lot of these higher impact goals cost a lot of money that can be prohibitive for a startup type business. So what do we recommend for low cost options? So um, let's see, Mike, thanks so much for that question. I am happy to talk more with you about really inexpensive places to start, low hanging fruit. And certainly one that even comes to mind is looking at energy, waste, and water efficiency in your facility. There's usually a lot of incentives and even free services in your area just to find out more information. Some other options might be looking at employee engagement and running a survey. Doesn't cost you anything. Like, we actually do it for you. So there are some options for sure, and happy to look at that more closely for you guys. And I think at this point we're 5 minutes over, so if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to thank you all so much. My humblest apologies for the technical difficulties. Really, really appreciate everyone coming out today. And please don't hesitate to email me your questions. And I would really love your feedback about this webinar so that we can continue to serve you all. And we also like to measure what matters in our service to you. So please let us know what you think. Thank you all so much, and we will hope to see you next time.